The Minoans can be considered to have a matriarchal religion, as they worship primarily goddesses. Although there is some evidence of male gods, depictions of Minoan goddesses vastly outnumber depictions of anything that could be considered a Minoan god. Some depictions of women are speculated to be images of worshippers and priestesses, officiating at religious ceremonies, as opposed to the deity. But several goddesses appear to be portrayed, including a mother goddess of fertility, a mistress of the animals, a protectress of cities, the household, the harvest, and the underworld, and more. They are often represented by serpents, birds, poppies, and a somewhat vague shape of an animal upon the head. In addition to deities, there are many Minoan sacred symbols, such as the bull and its horns of consecration that represents the horns of the sacred bull, the labrys, the double-headed axe, the pillar, the serpent, the sun disk, and the tree. Of this list, there are two interesting icons that stand forward of the rest, the bull as well as the serpent. Bulls in general are believed to have been an important part of Minoan culture, and were the subject of veneration and worship. It has been suggested bulls may have had some religious significance to them, perhaps fertility, as well as strength. For example, the large exaggerated size of the bull compared to the human may give an idea of the Minoans' reverence for the power of the animals. In every medium imaginable, from gold rings to terracotta figurines, from stone seals to frescoes in relief, the image of the bull permeates the Minoan world and its culture. Excavations at Knossos have revealed several frescoes depicting bull leaping. Major entrances leading to the center of the palace complex were adorned with wall paintings of bulls and bull leaping. Bull leaping is often interpreted as a depiction of a ritual performed in connection with bull worship. This ritual consists of an acrobatic leap over a bull. When the leaper grasps the bull's horns, the bull will violently jerk its neck upwards, giving the leaper the momentum necessary to perform somersaults and other acrobatic tricks or stunts. The details of this practice are a hotbed for scholars in the field, and are still discussed today, about whether or not the ritual could be performed or not. The serpent is also an interesting symbol, as it is perhaps used in either rituals or has a connection to a snake goddess. Figurines were discovered by the British archaeologist Arthur Evans in 1903 in the temple repositories of Knossos. The figurines were made of faience, a technique for glazing earthenware and other ceramic vessels by using a quartz paste. In Old Egypt, this material symbolized the renewal of life. Therefore, it was used in the funeral cult and in the sanctuaries. The serpent is often symbolically associated with the renewal of life as well, because it sheds its skin periodically. After firing the figurine, this produces bright colors and a lustrous sheen. In addition to snakes on the figurines, one of the figures had a small animal perched on her head, which seems to be the imitation of a panther. These were usually symbols of an earth goddess. In addition, both goddesses have a knot with a projecting loop cord between their breasts. Evans noticed that these were similar to what he called the sacral knot. Numerous such symbols in ivory, faience, painted in frescoes, or engraved in seals, sometimes combined with the symbol of the double-edged axe or labrys. It is believed that the sacral knot was the symbol of holiness on human figures or cult objects. Its combination with the double axe can be compared with the Egyptian Ankh, symbolizing eternal life, or with the Tiet, a symbol of Isis, meaning good welfare and life. The subject of eternal life and striving for immortality can be discussed based on these previous examples, based on their connections with other cultures. Immortality is a subject that has been discussed around the world in many religions and cultures, one example being the legendary journey for the Philosopher's Stone. But eternal life sometimes does not come from material means. Depending on your area of inquiry, immortality is achieved through spiritual means, or from those above, if you will. Religions such as Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Taoism, and Hinduism, as well as many others, all have their different interpretations of immortality and how to achieve it. The Minoans, however, do not really have a specific idea of their own, at least not to my knowledge. so we will have to resort to the views of the ancient Greeks. In ancient Greek religion, immortality originally included an eternal union of body and soul, as can be seen in Homer, Hesiod, and various other ancient texts. The soul was considered to have an eternal existence in Hades, but without the body, the soul was considered dead. Although almost everybody had nothing to look forward to but an eternal existence as a disembodied dead soul, a number of men and women were considered to have gained physical immortality and been brought to live forever in either Elysium, the Islands of the Blessed, Heaven, the ocean, or literally right under the ground. Ganymede, Menelaus, the king of Sparta, and a great part of those who fought in the Trojan and Theban wars serve as examples. Some were considered to have died and been resurrected before they achieved physical immortality, such as Achilles, who after being killed was snatched from his funeral pyre by his divine mother Thetis, resurrected, and brought to an immortal existence in either Luce, the Elysian Plains, or the Islands of the Blessed. According to Herodotus' histories, the 7th century BC sage Aristeas of Proconnesus was first found dead, after which his body disappeared from a locked room. Later, he was found not only to have been resurrected, but to have gained immortality. In the present day, the concept of immortality has generally split, to include physical immortality and also eternal youth, bringing forth questions and comments about the undesirability of immortality. Physical immortality has been imagined as a form of eternal torment, as in Mary Shelley's short story, The Mortal Immortal, the protagonist of which witnesses everyone he cares about dying around him. George Louis Borges explored the idea that life gets its meaning from death in the short story The Immortal, where an entire society having achieved immortality, they found time becoming infinite, and so found no motivation for any action. Science fiction writer Isaac Asimov commented, "There is nothing frightening about an eternal dreamless sleep. Surely it is better than eternal torment in hell, and eternal boredom in heaven." To connect back to Greek mythology, Alfred, Lord Tennyson, in the 19th century wrote the poem Tithonus, a dramatic monologue with Tithonus addressing his consort Eos, the goddess or titan of the dawn. The main classical source that Tennyson draws upon is from the story of Aphrodite's relationship with Anchises, in the ancient Homeric hymn to Aphrodite. In this, Aphrodite briefly tells of Eos's foolishness in neglecting to ask Zeus for immortal youth for Tithonus, along with his immortality. Tithonus was a Trojan by birth, the son of King Laomedon of Troy, by a water nymph named Strymo. Eos abducted both Ganymede and Tithonus from the royal house of Troy to be her consorts. When Zeus stole Ganymede from her to be his cupbearer, as a repayment, Eos asked for Tithonus to be made immortal, but forgot to ask for eternal youth. Tithonus indeed lived forever, but grew ever older. But when loathsome old age pressed full upon him, and he could not move nor lift his limbs, this seemed to her in her heart the best counsel. She laid him in a room and put to the shining doors. There he babbles endlessly, and no more has strength at all, such as once he had in his supple limbs. In later tellings, Eos eventually turned him into a cricket or a cicada, to relieve him of such an existence, but begging for death to overcome him. In Tennyson's poem, Tithonus asked Eos that he be released and restored to the earth, for his immortal age can no longer be reconciled with her immortal youth. "Release me and restore me to the ground. Thou seest all things, thou wilt see my grave. Thou wilt renew thy beauty morn by morn. I earth and earth forget these empty courts, and thee returning on thy silver wheels." With this in mind of life, sharing the gift of good health, life, and eventually the miracle of eternal life, what may seem like a miracle to some who know what they wish to do, may seem like a curse to others. University of Cambridge philosopher Simon Blackburn, in his essay Religion and Respect, write, "Things do not gain meaning by going on for a very long time, or even forever. Indeed, they lose it. A piece of music, a conversation, even a glance of adoration or a moment of unity have their allotted time. Too much, and they become boring. An infinity, and they would be intolerable.